beer. He was 14 years old. and I would write to her about those things, and she would write back and tell me, you know, that at 14, of course, that's what he wants to do, and that doesn't show who he's going to be when he grows up. You know, that, in other words, I was taking things very seriously, but she had some perspective.
And away we go!
I did tell her secrets. I shared with Julie that my sister was a heroin addict and wound up in prison, and how she ruined her life. And that was something that I never talked about with anyone.
Coffee. We're going to get coffee
After a while,
now.
I was writing to someone who understood me. It was like seeing a therapist, and she was so kind and gentle with me. Even when I wrote things that were terrible, I would say to her, I hope you rot in jail for the rest of your life. That was in the beginning. And yet she would write back and say, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I understand. We wrote letters to each other for over 3 years. We wrote probably 100 letters, and I never told my husband. I believe after all those years of correspondence that she was a victim, and that she was manipulated by her husband, and she went along with him because he had power over her. So I decided to write to the parole board to set her free. She had been in prison 5 years past the time that she should have been released. I wrote in the letter that I believed she had served her time, that she was remorseful, repentant.
Kathleen didn't hear back from the parole board, so she just put it to the back of her mind. But 1 year later,
I opened a letter from Julie. She said she was offered a year in a halfway house, and then that she would be released.
Kathleen and Julie wrote back and forth from the halfway house. Julie wrote that she was excited to move to Oregon, back to her parents' home, but that she wanted to visit Kathleen in New York first, so they planned a lunch date.
We agreed to meet in a very nice restaurant near Central Park. Before she was released, she wrote to me, I am so thankful for your letters to me and to the parole board. I will never forget your kindness. I will arrive in New York on October 24th, and I am so excited to meet you. I was very, very excited to see her. I did believe that seeing her would finally give me closure. That morning, I woke up with the jitters. My husband kept asking me what was the matter, and of course I could not tell him. Most of my closet was on my bed piled high because I couldn't decide what to wear. And I thought about what she might look like if she was prison worn or wrinkled looking from having been behind bars all those years. I thought that even though I was 40 years old, that I still had a good figure and my hair was still red, and that I probably would look better than she did. Well, competition. I got to the restaurant early because I was so nervous. The restaurant was bustling with conversation and laughter and waiters, and I thought, boy, I could use a glass of wine. I was standing by the hostess when I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and I knew it was her. She was beautiful, much more lovely than I could have thought. She had on a beautiful dress, and she had a pearly white smile. And the first thing I thought was, she didn't look like a hijacker. She didn't look like she had been in prison for 13 years. She took me into an embrace, and she said, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And I thought to myself, no, I'm not. You are, you know. We sat down, and she was carrying a shopping bag. And at first, I pulled back because of the Macy's shopping bag with the bright red star, and it frightened me. But I peeked inside, and I saw that it looked like a gift. So she handed it to me, and she said, this is a Croatian woven purse. And it was given to me by the Croatian community for you. In addition, she had an envelope with money in it, and she handed that to me as well. Then I asked her what her plans were now that she was free. And she sat up straight and she said, I'm going to move to Croatia and wait for Zvonko to be released. And I sat back and looked at her and I said, I thought you were decision was that? To build a bomb to hijack a plane? She said, well, I had no choice. You did have a choice. You could have gone to the police. You could have gone to the embassy. There were other ways to do this. And I thought, I can't believe this. She is going to have her husband back, and I will never have my husband back. With that, something in me shifted. I look across the room towards the exit. And I stood up and said, I'm leaving. Wait, she said. I paused at the table. She said, there has to be an end to our suffering. You said so yourself. Which brings me to ask you if you'll write a letter to the parole board for Zvonko. That hatred that I felt for her in the very beginning came back. She was not the one manipulated, it was me. She had manipulated me to become her husband's savior. I took a deep breath. I yelled, I'm not going to help your husband. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do everything I can to keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. She stood up and tried to take my hand, and I grabbed it back and shoved the shopping bag and the envelope towards me. I scraped back the chair and I walked across the room, free from Julie Busick, my husband's killer. When I walked out of that room, that is what gave me pleasure, freeing myself of her. I made a mistake in helping her, but that mistake did help me to move on.
Thank you, Kathleen Moran for sharing that story. Kathleen worked with New York City's Mayor Rudy Giuliani to keep Zvonko Busick locked in prison. But after 32 years, Zvonko was paroled for good behavior in 2008 and reunited with his wife, Julie Busick. For more information about Kathleen's story, we'll have links on our website, snapjudgment.org. That story was produced with an original score by Davey Kim. Snap Judgment returns the real-life Grizzly Adams. Now what happens when it has to be either you or her? Snap Judgment, the Unforgiven episode. Stay tuned.
Every morning you open your eyes and your ears to a world full of new stories.
Gates is expected to change his plea to guilty. Students and the police were describing a person. The person they picked up seemed...
There are tens of thousands of people gathering in Florida to watch this thing take off.
It can be a lot to absorb when you're just getting out of bed in the morning, but we can do it together. Start every day fully awake with Morning Edition. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9 here on KUER.
Support for KUER comes from the MBA programs at Westminster College, where professors lead with industry experience to help students get a leg up in their career. More at westminstercollege.edu/